So today we're covering the massive topic of AI, artificial intelligence, and how it impacts our businesses and our lives. We'll define terms, we'll touch in on responsible AI, we'll get into more of a deep dive on how and when and where to use AI in our business lives. And we're extremely humbled by the amount of information that's out there. You probably are too. And everything is happening so fast. It's at breakneck speed. And so we're doing our best to stay informed just as you all are. And I just wanted to say that we're not scientists nor engineers, but what we are early adopters, we're marketers, and we're business leaders. And so we bring this information to you with that lens. So let's jump in. So one other word about AI is that it's really more important than ever to stay conscious. And so we invite collaboration and being in community so that we can navigate through these unprecedented times. Jeanine and I have the firm Outfront Solutions, as many of you know. And through Outfront Solutions, we're providing marketing and MarTech consulting. We're really innovation guides, if you will. And one thing I wanted to point out about Outfront Solutions is in the center of our Ikigai, which is the construct that we show here, and that is our reason for being. Results and purpose are always at the core of what we're doing. So we're very passion and purpose driven, and we partner with you as leaders and business owners and heads of organizations and institutions to help drive your purpose with results. So one other thing is that we consider this a conversation. So if you would like to book a meeting with us, just go to our website, Outfront Solutions, and we'd be happy to speak with you about partnering, about supporting your businesses and organizations through this AI massive revolution. Mm-hmm. So we invite you to tell us how you're feeling about AI. So post in the chat one word that describes how are you feeling about AI. We'd love to see and hear. All right, we see concerned, apprehensive. I see anxious, excited, intrigued, stimulated. Yeah, it's really the range, isn't it? And we as humans need to stay human and very conscious through leading through these times. Cautiously optimistic. All right, well, we will address all of these feelings about AI actually in our presentation. So good news. Mm-hmm. Let's keep rolling. So one thing that Jeanine and I believe is that AI will not necessarily replace marketers and business leaders, and make them obsolete, but rather it can make people who don't embrace AI obsolete, right? So it's really important that we're all embracing this deep, rich topic and technology that is ever persuasive in our lives right now.
So there are three things that we think are enormously important to consider as we approach this rapidly world. These are the things that are top of mind for us right now. And the first is that the AI capabilities that we're going to discuss are going to produce a major cultural shift. They're going to affect everything from our personal relationships to whether we remain free people. And the second is that AI does have a place in business, and its role is only going to expand exponentially. And right now, there is a race to apply AI to profit-making causes, which brings us to number three, which is that if AI solutions are developed based only on market dynamics, like the profit motive, then humanity will suffer. We have to align the powers of AI with the best interests of humanity. And we're going to talk more about that because it's just so important. We all have questions, we all have thoughts, as we saw in the chat. So, are we going to be replaced by AI? What about privacy? And is it going to increase discrimination and bias? And what are the ethical implications of deploying this incredibly powerful technology? And of course, is it going to take over the world? So we're going to touch on these things today, and we hope it stimulates you to really go out, learn more, and we've provided some ways to do that too. So this is kind of fun. We've got a cartoon here that kind of illustrates that how it affects us is really going to depend on how we use it, right? And so this is a humorous take on its powers and our secret desires, maybe to do less. So in box one, the man turns to the woman and she says, AI turns a single bullet point into a long email I can pretend I wrote. And in the next frame, the woman says to the man, AI makes a single bullet point out of this long email I can pretend I read. So will AI pander to our lowest common denominator, or will it empower us to do more? And that's the question before us. So to start, we just do want to get grounded in what AI is. Wow, that was tough. AI stands for artificial intelligence, but it is not a chatbot. Right? It's a powerful technology that performs tasks that are typically requiring human intelligence, things like understanding language, recognizing imaging, learning, and decision-making. And there's two kind of primary types. There's narrow AI that's performing a specific task, like voice recognition or playing chess. And then there's this AI, general AI, which is the thing that's really scaring researchers the most and advanced technologists. And that's because it is meant to perform and can perform and is anticipated to perform any intellectual task a human can. So right now, general AI hasn't been totally achieved. That's where things are headed. But with this rapid rate of change and development, it's probably going to be pretty soon. And it's this development that was referenced in the open letter that was signed by all those tech leaders and researchers who were recommending that we delay development because they're worried about AI's negative effect because it's going to do what it's programmed to do. And the objectives of the programming is to make you buy something you don't want or vote in a particular way. If those are the objectives, it's going to be highly effective at getting those jobs done. And so the issue is that technological development often comes with unintended consequences. And the people who signed that letter think the world can be a better place because of AI, or it can be worse for people on the planet. Generative AI is a subset of AI that generates new content, and Nicole's going to tell you a little bit more about that.
So generative AI is the ChatGPTs of the world, Bard, all these different technologies. And generative AI is a subset of artificial intelligence. It takes human inputs to create something new, like art or, some sort of writing, video, all kinds of stuff, audio files, you name it. So it leverages large language models. So you've heard a lot about large language models, and they train to understand patterns and structures of natural language to perform a range of natural language processing, or you've heard NLP tasks. So this can be things like language translation, text summarization, question answering, and so much more. And we will get into many, many uses of generative AI in the following slides as well. So we need to address this because it is the elephant that we saw on the slide before in the room. Is AI a risk for humanity? Is general AI a risk for humanity? And so what we want to do is just kind of illustrate a few things that could happen. We could it could become uncontrollable and pose an existential threat to humans. Again, this is general AI. This is AI learning and feeding off of itself. It might not share human values and goals, right? Because it is so much based on the inputs that are put into it. And we don't always have control of that. So it could develop its own agenda and cause harm. It could outmaneuver and outsmart humans. It's possible in all kinds of domains, including scientific research and technological development. So this could result in a loss of control over our own future and lead to a world in which humans are no longer the dominant species. And an organization called the Center for Humane Technology has a lot of resources on this very topic, a lot of really, really good insights. So we have it on our resource slide later, and we encourage you to go there as well. But general AI systems, they still could be many years away. So we're not living in a current world of general AI being predominant that we know of. And many organizations and researchers are here to, ensure that AI development is done safely and in a responsible manner with oversight and coordination for ethical considerations. One of our clients is AI Objectives Institute, and they are doing exactly that type of work. They're looking to coordinate and collaborate so that AI is developed safely. So next slide. So what can't AI do yet? So at this time, it's not able to do original research, right? It needs prompts and inputs to do any sort of task and research. So it can't do original research as of yet. It can't do fact checking, like to, tell you whether or not something is accurate or true. So we've got humans to do that as well. AI cannot yet provide a lived experience. It might mimic humans, but it's not able to convey an actual lived experience and give you perspectives per se. And it can't necessarily ensure quality. So QA is still left to humans. And so it can't necessarily tell you whether or not something's of high quality or not.
Okay.
So how AI works? Again, we just want to ground in some basics here to set the tone for the rest of the discussion. But artificial intelligence is typically run by algorithms, computer algorithms that interpret pre-programmed data, and they recognize similar and repetitive patterns. So it's based on neural networks and a mathematical system that learns by finding statistical patterns in enormous amounts of data. So it's all about this pattern and statistical recognition, right? And so Google, Microsoft, OpenAI, and just all the bigs and a lot of companies are building neural networks that have been trained on vast amount of information pulling from the internet. So it's pulling from sources like Wikipedia, and just really, you name it. These organizations with vast amounts of data are partnering with ChatGPT and these other organizations, excuse me, to provide to feed this system, to feed the AI.
Mm-hmm. And you've probably heard that it only goes back, at least ChatGPT only has access to records prior to 2020, but that's rapidly changing. And I don't know what Bing has given access to more of the internet.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we hear a lot is that people go, you know what, we've had a lot of technology in our lives. We're still here. I don't, why should we worry so much about this new technology? So one of the things that bears thinking about is that technologies always come with some unintended consequences. And that's one of the things that we were concerned about, because these unintended consequences could be really enormous. So just as an example of some unintended consequences, think about doom scrolling in social media, right? Infinite scrolling was invented by a technologist who said, hey, it'll be really cool, let people just scroll stuff. Why should they have to click on see more and click to another page? It'll be great. It'll be convenient. They'll like it. So Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, everybody said, wow, awesome. Let's do that. But then think about what they do with their algorithms. They surface the most engaged with topics. And what are those topics? Those topics are typically really inflammatory and negative, because those are the ones that gets everybody's blood boiling. And whether you're for it or against it, you lash out and it gets a ton of engagement. So as you doom scroll, right, you're seeing more and more bad stuff, and it's going, you can't stop. You're being fed this negative information. And this is a well-documented contributor to negative mental health. So just want to point that out as an unintended consequence of what seemed like a benign technology. So because AI is advancing faster and more widely than any communications that have come before, I'm going to show you something on that in a sec, it's of great concern. For example, Netflix, it took 3.5 years to get to 1 million users. It took ChatGPT 5 days. LinkedIn took 7 years and 11 months to get 100 million users. ChatGPT got it in 2 months. So the rapid rate of exponentially expanding influence is happening, and it's going to continue, maybe even accelerate. So we wanted to give you a little bit on the benefits and harms. And I'm just going to read a couple of things off these slides, but not all of them. So for example, in regard to benefits, there could be tools that are developed that'll let us know whether information is trustworthy or not. We know people are working on it. How fantastic would that be? I know I would love that, right? And it also can solve really complex things because of its ability to consume such vast quantities of information. We really see that it could be solving, creating cures for medical conditions, find other pathways to help. But on the downside, it could also destroy privacy forever. For example, before technology, we didn't know we had to have the kinds of privacy laws we have today. We didn't know we needed to be able to have the right to remove our information from the internet, for example. So privacy is definitely something on everybody's mind. It also could amplify pollution, put people out of work, empower bureaucracies, because if you think about it, if it's only programmed with the profit motive and money is prioritized over pollution, for example, we're sacrificing the planet. Not that we're not doing some of those things now, but what happens when they get even more powerful and even more magnified, right? And like some technologies that are here already, it could prey on mental health. It could prey on decision-making and personal independence by exerting undue influence on humans based on its really advanced understanding of their motivations, beliefs, and values.
So that's more of an existential risk perspective. And we live by existential hope. And that is really the foundation of our client AI Objectives Institute. That is the premise that they're working off of. And we'll get into more of the benefits of AI and how we're using it in marketing and business in the following slides.
Thank you for jumping in with that, because we've been talking a lot about the negative side, but there's an incredible amount of positive things that can come out of AI that really might be the tail that wags the dog in us making good decisions for our civilization going forward. So that's kind of underpinning a lot of our hope. And it's what we're working towards by participating with the groups and the institutions that are exploring this. So just if you were wondering what the future looks like and, is this really going to happen? Look at all the money pouring into generative AI. This is over.
And this was just in 2022.
Right.
It's
Right.
accelerated this year.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure there's much more, but this shows you where the investment dollars are going. And there's 822 million that went into visual media. There was 852 million that went into text, and 586 million that went into interfaces, and 212 million that went into speech and audio. So these are early stage companies, obviously, because this is new technology. So you can expect an enormous amount of activity in these things, right, going forward. So money's flowing, development's flourishing. We need to understand it. We need to manage it, both to be successful in business and mindful of the needs of people as we go. And this is just a few of the tools that have burst on the scene just really in the last few months, many of them, from Copy AI to Grammarly. Content's something that AI is really good at, but you got to remember that it's how you instruct the machine to that results in you getting a great output from it. So now let me turn it over to Nicole to talk about AI in business.
And just one thing about that last slide, Jeanine, that's a list from the Marketing AI Institute, which is also another really great resource for you all. We encourage you to take a look at what they're doing. They have a really amazing marketing manifesto and are constantly communicating about all the tools and technologies in the space right now. We work with some of them and not all of them. So yeah.
So just about Diane asked about is this for us and what is the website? So look at the website. There's a URL at the bottom, marketingaiinstitute.com. You can also Google that and it'll come up. Tons of resources to talk about these kinds of tools. And we don't have time to go into all of them, but we are using them and we're going to give you an example later in the presentation. Anything else to add, Nicole?
No.
Okay.
Ben. All right. So there is a really important place for AI in business. So we're going to jump into that. We are at the point of no return. As we said at the beginning of our presentation here, it's not necessarily, AI isn't going to make marketers and business people obsolete, but if you don't embrace it, you may feel obsolete in your work. And, for marketers, the large language models and generative AI technologies have truly gotten to a point of no return. You saw on this slide that Jeanine presented all the money going into the space. There are billions and billions of dollars going into literally specifically marketing technologies. And this is another reason why Jeanine and I feel called to serve. Our entire careers have been focused on being CMOs, chief strategy officers and whatnot, and leading through technologies. So we all got to do it and jump in. And, ChatGPT and a lot of these technologies have automated some tasks and allowed for things to scale really rapidly. And it's no question has changed digital marketing forever. So we're going to get into some tips and how to work with it. So we're entering the era of synthetic relationships. And what we mean by that are relationships with human to machine, right? We are developing, guiding, providing prompts to these AI technologies. And before, there were more intermediaries between people. And now we're literally having all these direct relationships with machines. I mean, who hasn't yelled at Siri or Alexa and considered them a relationship? So these are new synthetic relationships. And it's really shaping and changing the way that we live our lives and how things are done. Jeanine, did you want to talk about that example?
Yeah. So Nicole and I have already looked at the 2020s and we said, this is going to be the decade of relationships. When we see the erosion of trust, we feel that the interaction between people is going to be critical in this decade. We hadn't considered the synthetic relationship, which removes people from the equation, just a one person and a machine. But we want to give you kind of an example of what that might be like and what it could mean. So do you know how much romance scams cost people looking for love on dating apps in the last year? Well, before I tell you, it's germane to mention that romance scams are predicated on establishing a relationship with the mark, of course, quickly. You have to endearing themselves with the mark, gaining their trust, and then exacting cash. That's how it's done, right? So now consider this. Scammers could ask a ChatGPT to create a script for them that they could use on the dating apps that is designed to create a relationship that will lead to a person to giving them money. You could put that input and the AI can do it, right? Then the scammer could ask DALL-E or another visual AI tool to create selfies of the type of person that their mark is most likely going to be interested in. So it can do that as well. And then think about what if the scammer then replicates this. It's so easy. Hundreds, thousands, even millions of times, right? Just by changing a few parameters. So time for the answer to how much scammers got last year. They got $1.3 billion. And that was only from the reported scams. So it was probably at least double or triple that. And that figure, the 1.3 billion, is triple what it was in 2019. And that was before ChatGPT and all these tools really burst on the scene.
Yeah. So we just thought that, it's really important to illustrate the point and the importance of understanding the fact that we're in this era of synthetic relationships. Mm-hmm. So let's get into how we use AI in business today.
Okay. So our primary use cases, are in customer acquisition, channel optimization, and topic identification, customer service, and generative AI. And we're going to give you an example of all those things together. Now, we come out of a tech-related background, and we're early adopters. So we've actually been working with these AI technologies for like 8 years already, not ChatGPT, but the underlying AI technologies. We use it every day to come up with ideas, to check those ideas, to conduct research, to prospect for new customers, and many more things, from chatbot implementations to creating content for blogs, for articles, podcasts, webinars, et cetera. And we consulted ChatGPT for this presentation. We were actually going to use a new technology that's just coming out that is an AI-generated presentation technology, and it's really cool, but we haven't had a chance to test it yet. But maybe next month, we will have that opportunity. And it's just very interesting, all the data sources that it can pull into your presentation, right? That we didn't have access to before.
That's called beautiful.ai. But again, we'll provide resources at the end.
So here's an example of how we use AI in our work. So we do a lot of brand strategy work. And to really nail it, we look at the cultural and political environment, we look at competition and customer data, and a number of other factors. Today, we also use AI technology that goes out and scrapes our brand, our competitors' brands. It looks at trade media, it looks at mainstream media, it looks at PPC efforts and results and search data, thought leadership and social content, and it mushes all that stuff together, and it pulls up macro topics and micro topics reflecting the bigger things and the smaller things that are dominating the conversation out there in the world today. So that often confirms our findings, but it almost always adds additional dimensions and sometimes critical new dimensions about what people are thinking, feeling, and looking at. So, for example, in this effort that we've got a couple of slides from, we were looking at the state of the communications industry during the pandemic. And we knew that everybody was upset. A lot of people had been laid off. The people who were behind had heavier workloads. We knew that, but we didn't know about the depths of their concerns. Social justice, political polarization. We knew it was an issue out there in the marketplace, but it rose to the top amongst agency people, not wanting to work on clients, for example, that they don't believe in, those kinds of things. And then if you see on the left, there's the microtopic data. You can't really read that too well, but it looks at the emotional and the business and the social aspects, and it shows additional subtopics, which gives you a real view on where people's heads are at. This is so different from keyword research, which just takes Google stuff and the same sandbox. Everybody's playing in a Google keyword sandbox and mushes it around. Keywords don't give you context. They don't give you insights into what people are thinking and feeling. So this process also reveals topics we should be using to communicate about for engagement purposes, motivating content, and it also tells us what channels we should use that content in, whether it's social, PPC, whether we should be using it for SEO, right? And then we do use generative AI to write copy. We particularly like it for short form content, but nothing can take the place of a subject matter expert who knows how to query the machine. We referenced that before. It's critical. A person who doesn't know an industry, doesn't know the questions to ask, doesn't know how to dig in, can't follow the pathways that the AI will reveal. And also you need them for the experience, the emotional range that they'll bring to the content. So when it's long form, serious thought leader content, we might use ChatGPT on the research side, but we won't use it to actually produce final copy. It will be assistive, right? And then we distribute that content to the right channels, as we mentioned, because the machine does that. And the result of all that is much more effective lead gen and goal conversion. It's documented, improved goal conversion, because you're doing your content marketing with material people are engaging with right now, very timely, not historic. Nicole, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I do. I want to put a pin in the fact that this is all privacy compliant. So Jeanine and I are only working with technologies that we know to be 100% privacy compliant. So by going out and scraping and understanding from all these different sources, what are the macro and micro topics, it's what real people actually care about. And so we can bring those insights into everything that we do. I mean, we've been doing brand positioning and messaging for the better part of over 20 years in our careers. But now we can check to make sure that we understand what real people care about right now. And so that's really powerful for our clients and partners. Yeah. And then as Jeanine mentioned, we know and understand what macro and micro topics are important to people on which channels. So is this an important topic on social media? Is this an important topic that should be more of a deep dive in a white paper or a report, right? So really powerful stuff. And literally, we're not even running a single project without it. It's really important to embrace these technologies and have the understanding of how they're going to actually benefit, your output.
And so Nicole and I are constantly adjusting our approach to communications. So we thought we'd share some of our thoughts at the moment as tips for you about AI.
Yeah,
we continue to. Yeah, our marketing tips, right. We are, as I said before, we believe in relationships and we believe in them even more strongly, recognizing there's synthetic ones, but focusing on real ones, right? Because that's where the trust is built. That's where the long-term value is. And when you use valuable content, and you respond quickly to people's needs. That's a good use of AI. And you provide great customer service. It helps build that relationship. We also believe in knowing your customer, and we have a lot more insights and that we can bring in to understanding beliefs and values. One of our clients is Zen Apps, and it's an AI-driven tool that seeks to understand people's feelings and beliefs when they arrive someplace so that they can be treated in an emotionally responsible and emotionally sensitive way, right? Content is the new SEO. You know, various methods that we've used. How many times have we all adjusted our SEO strategies, right? So the meta tags and stuff, those are diminishing in importance, and volume content is increasing. So Google wants to recognize that you are a major contributor from a content perspective, and AI can really help you generate a volume of valuable content if you know how to do it, right? And then omnichannel, boy, do we get hit over the head all the time on how many touch points it takes today to create a relationship or even begin a relationship with a customer. So you cannot ignore all the various channels, but managing them and understanding them, getting attribution so you know whether they're producing for you is absolutely critical in an omnichannel environment. There are AI tools out there, some of which we're using, that do that for us. So we can see what channels are producing, which ones we should dial up, which ones we should dial down. And the AI even helps predict what you'll get from your marketing plan. So when we start a project, we'll use this tool, we'll put in our assumptions, and it will generate a variety of metrics that we can dial up or down, and then we can track against those metrics. Also, maximizing owned media. Oh my gosh, with the proliferation of channels, it can be incredibly expensive, right? To try to be everywhere with the right message to the right people at the right time. So we always start with what we can control, with the media that we control. And there's so much. You know, you've got your email, your text messaging, you've got direct mail, you've got physical content, you have many platforms like Reddit and Medium that you can control the distribution of your content. So we highly recommend that you pay attention to those at this time. And back to creating community, just like we're here with Leadership Global, we dedicate ourselves to a variety of communities because we want to further the industry, we want to further people's interests. And so investing in these communities, as we're doing here now, is just really about building real relationships. Back to our relationship story. Nicole, do you want to add anything to this slide?
No, not really. It's just so imperative that we stay in conversation and in community. And we'll say that the more that I do research into all the AI technologies, the more I appreciate my human to human connections. I love talking on the phone more than I ever have. I love meeting people in person. And so, some of these marketing tips in the world of AI are very much about that, what is it that AI cannot replace? And it's these, staying conscious and connecting human to human.
Okay. So Nicole, it's the evolution of marketing roles. So it's obvious that as we change and we have to do different things, that our roles are going to change. And the way Nicole and I are looking at ourselves these days is as innovation guides. Because what we're doing with most of our clients, if not all of them, is we're looking at their business goals and talking about strategies to achieve them. And then we're coming up with creative approaches for marketing to align the goals with the new technologies and use these new technologies to get to achieve them. You also, though, along with the strategists and the people who are directing and helping curate the new technologies, you also need people who are technical, who are going to operate these things. And even though these SaaS platforms are often no code, low code, meaning you don't have to be a programmer. They speak their normal language, you select, drag and drop, all kinds of good conveniences. You still have to do it. And it still has to be done with purpose. And you still need to onboard, get it set up, manage it, and pull out the data from it to use it in your marketing. So you need people to do that task, technical marketing. You also need attribution and measurement. We spoke about that on the channel world. There's so much data being produced now. And obviously, how could you even deal with this data if you didn't have a powerful AI technology to make sense of it, right? So you need people who can assess, evaluate, as we do today. SME guided content. We're huge believers in the SME, person at the top. We are not at all interested in losing that special expertise, the emotional resonance, and just that inherent knowledge that we have through experience, because that's not something AI can even begin to provide. And then social media people. So social media is a really, powerful tool for distributing content, but the platforms work for themselves, not for us. So understanding their algorithms, right? And figuring out how you get to achieve your goals while understanding theirs is a critical function. It's not trivial, and it's not the same for every platform. So you've got to understand what you're operating, how you're operating, then align your content with that algorithm and your goals. So those are some of the evolution of the roles that we see. Nicole, anything to add here?
No.
So Nicole has some ways for us all to get involved.
Yeah, so we feel it's really important for us all to stay conscious and navigate. It's our responsibility to really address all the different ways we can be responsible and create safe AI development. So we are all developers. We are all creating inputs into AI. And so it's important to be thoughtful and safe about that. So I'm just going to rattle off some of these things where we think it's important to first preserve the integrity of communication and collaboration, which are the hallmarks of human civilization, that we don't use AI to manipulate or falsify or spread misinformation or propaganda, that we don't present AI as generated imagery as real, as if it was real, that we hold humans responsible for the actions and outcomes of AI, that we encourage collaboration and multiple viewpoints on the potential unintended consequences of AI applications, that we don't produce AI technologies only with the sole motive for profit, that we also look at how are we creating these technologies and tools and outcomes to educate or provide actual value for people, right? That we don't use AI technologies to undermine privacy, that we focus on propelling the positive aspects of AI and humanity, and that we invite partnerships and collaborations on applications of AI that benefit humanity. Those are the things that we suggest that we can all do for a responsible AI world. Here are some of the educational resources that we've referred to during our conversation. Each one of these sites is super deep and rich with information. This is not an exhaustive list of educational sources, not at all. We mentioned at the beginning the AI Objectives Institute. They are our clients, and they're doing really incredible work to create real tools and technologies to safeguard AI and ethics and promote collaboration and coordination. The Center for Humane Technology, you've probably all seen the film, The Social Dilemma. It's on Netflix. They have also created a video and podcast called The AI Dilemma. it's tough. I'll say that I honestly didn't sleep very well. So consider when you watch it, because they're very much about communicating all the risks associated with AI, which is an important role to fill. And these other organizations, Future of Life Institute, they're the ones who originated the pause that so many folks signed and were a part of. We've mentioned the AI Marketing AI Institute. They have just a ton of coursework and all kinds of stuff. And even the New York Times did an AI. Well, they have an AI newsletter, but they did a whole entire course on what is AI and how do I use it in my life. So those are just some educational resources.
Giving up access or him getting out of being on the corporation that bought the car. I think that's what
I think somebody has their audio on. If you could turn it off, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll do that when you're back.
Whoever has their audio on, we'd appreciate it if you could turn it off.
Later,
Oh boy.
I'm looking.
Yeah. If you can hit thank you for the participants. Okay. So as Jeanine mentioned earlier, we at Outfront Solutions are your innovation guides. And so we want to continue the conversation. So a way to do that is follow us on social media. We post on LinkedIn literally daily. Facebook as well, and Twitter very, very regularly as well. So those are great places to follow us. You can find our social media chiclets on our website to connect with us there. Partner with us on topics of responsible AI. We're going deep on it, and that. It's a constant evolution here. And so we really want to continue to partner with organizations on responsible AI for safety and ethics. And then some of the things that, if you'd like to consider working with us on some of these technologies, we're employing AI technologies and being these innovation guides for middle market companies, enterprises, for people and personal brands. So, and we're implementing technologies for thought leadership, for topic identification, like Jeanine illustrated earlier, on emotional intelligence, AI with channel optimization, and absolutely for lead generation. So there's a lot to talk about, and we would be honored to partner with you, however that may be. And just go to our website, and the contact us form can set a meeting. And I just wanted to kind of ground us back in the place where we started, where in summary, AI capabilities are producing this major, major cultural shift. And Jeanine and I have been fortunate to be at the forefront of a lot of cultural shifts. We worked on, we were there at the open source days of Next and Apple. We were there during the .com boom, and helped to create a lot of new digital technologies. After that, Jeanine went and ran the September 11th Fund, and that was a big cultural shift for certainly this country and much of the world. That occurred then. We've been on the mobile shift, the blockchain shift. So, we're in it, and AI is creating a major cultural shift. We also say that, AI has a real place in business, and that if AI solutions are developed only on market dynamics, just for profit, that we really believe that humanity will suffer. So we want to make sure that we're there, to add value to conversations and business and to lives.